right, so for Unit 3, Lesson 3, we are going to be talking about different lines and angles. So to start off, we just have, notice this plane P over here. So if we want to name 2 points that determine line AC, it's going to just be the 2 letters that you see, A and C, because they're both on the line. And then if we want to name a point that's not collinear with point A and C, collinear meaning that they are on the same line, that would be point B. So 2 points are needed to determine one line, and collinear points lie on the same line. And collinear is one of those words that you want to make sure that you remember. So 3 non-collinear points, meaning 3 points not on the same line, determine a plane. And coplanar points lie on the same plane. So planes are something that you've heard of before, but probably have not done much with recently. But you have to think of them like a 2-dimensional shape. So we have this little parallelogram that would be a plane. But you're going to think of it in a 3-dimensional way. So if I had this plane up here and then off in the distance, I had another plane back here, then they are going to be in different areas. Just imagine back in space. Okay. So starting with some more vocabulary, we have parallel lines. And with parallel lines, these are lines that will never touch. And they are on the same plane, so they are coplanar. So if I had, let's say, EG, that would be parallel to EF, and you notice they have the little parallel symbols right there with those arrows. So we would say EG is parallel to FH. Okay, and notice they are also on the same plane because they make the same 2-dimensional shape. So then perpendicular lines form a 90-degree angle. And so that would be like right here, you see that little right angle symbol. So we would have EG is perpendicular to GH. Okay. So for skew lines, these are the ones that people probably mess up the most, but they are not coplanar, so they do not lie on the same plane, and they are not parallel, but they will never touch. And keep in mind that these are lines that are not coplanar, not parallel, and never touch. So if you think about this plane I have in the front, if I'm talking about EG, I could not use E or FH because it uses the same plane, sits on the same area. But I could say that BD is skew to EG because these will never touch, because in a 3-dimensional way, that BD is behind EG. So EG and BD. And essentially, they just can't be on the same face of the shape that you have. So then parallel planes are planes that will never touch. Much like parallel lines. So if we're talking about planes, unfortunately, we do not have a fancy symbol for planes, but we could say plane EGHF. EGHF is parallel to plane ACDB. ACDB, like that. Oops. Okay. So then, just keep in mind that segments or rays are parallel, perpendicular, or skew if the lines that contain them are parallel, perpendicular, or skew. So just keep in mind that it applies for both segments, rays, and lines. And just make sure you remember segment is a line segment that has endpoints. Rays has an endpoint, but then is a line on one end. And then lines have arrows on both ends. Okay. So we are going to identify. So if we want a pair of parallel segments, I would have BF is parallel. We look for another one with this little arrow. What's one would be over here, EJ. Okay. You could also have CGDH or CDBE. You have a lot of options here. If we were talking about a skew or a pair of skew segments, I could have something like BE is skew 2, and we'll say GH. Okay. There we go. So then a pair of perpendicular segments, remember in geometry, you can never, ever, ever assume. So with those perpendicular segments, you need to find that 90-degree angle mark. So that's going to be BF is perpendicular to FJ. Oops. Oh no. There we go. So then a pair of parallel planes, you're looking for two planes that would never touch. We'll just take this top one, B, C, D, E. So plane B, C, D, E is parallel to plane F, G, H, J. Okay, because those planes will never touch each other. So now we have angles that are formed by a transversal, and this is going to be the beginning part of really the bulk of geometry type stuff. So our first off, a transversal is going to be a line that cuts into two other lines. And then with that, you have an interior and exterior. So the interior is going to be kind of like if the lines that the transversal runs into was a windshield wiper, it would just come across like that. All of that will be the interior, and then anything outside of that is the exterior. Okay, so our first set is a line that intersects two coplanar. That is our transversal. Okay, so in this case, it is this yellow line right there. Oops. Okay, so then we have angles that lie on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of the lines. So these ones are known as corresponding angles. And with corresponding angles, like it says, they're on the same side of the transversal and the same side of the line. So if I'm at angle 1, my corresponding angle is going to be above the line and to the left of the transversal. So I have to go to my other line, and above it and to the left is angle 5. Okay, we could also have angle 3 and angle 7, angle 2 and angle 6, and angle 4 and angle 8. Okay. Oops. All right. So then our next set are non-adjacent angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal and between the lines. This is known as alternate interior angles. So if you think about it, alternate means opposite. So if I'm at, let's say, angle 3, the one on the other side but not next to it is going to be angle 6, which then would leave me angle 4 and angle 5 as my other set of alternate interior angles. Okay, oops. So then angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and 8 do not work because they are exterior, but they get special names too because they are going to be alternate exterior angles. Again, they're on opposite sides, but now they're outside of the lines. So if we had angle 1, my opposite exterior angle would be on the other side and not next to it, so it would be angle 8. And angle 2 would be an alternate exterior angle to angle 7. Now, our last one, they are known as same side interior angles. And they are on the same side of the transversal and between the lines. So if we're looking at this picture, if I'm looking at angle 3, let's see if it'll write for me. There it goes. Angle 3, if I'm on the same side, the only other angle inside with it is angle 5. So we would have angle 3 and angle 5, and then angle 4 and angle 6. Okay, so if you are able to identify different pairs of these, then you are going to be golden, but just keep in mind that it will probably take some extra practice. It might not come to you right away, but use the names to your advantage. So if we are looking, we want to first find corresponding angles. So that would be, if I chose angle 1, would be angle 3. because it's above the transversal, which is this line right here, and it's to the left of both of the lines. You could also say angle 2, angle 4, or angle 8, angle 6, or angle 5 and angle 7. Okay, so then alternate interior angles, we would want to be between the two lines, so somewhere in here, and we're going to be on opposite sides because it's alternate. So if I'm at angle 6, then that means I am going to be at angle 3, and then your alternate exterior angles are going to be angle 4 and angle 5, like these, because they are outside of your lines. And then last but not least, our same side interior angles, they're going to be on the inside between the lines and on the same side. So that's going to be angle 2 and angle 3, or angle 6 and angle 7. Okay. So then when we are looking at something like this, just keep in mind that your transversal connects your vertices together for your angles. So if I'm looking at angle 1, oops, that wanted to be the black pen. Angle 1 and angle 3, my transversal is going to be line L. And if line L is my angle, these angles would be corresponding because they are on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of their lines. Okay. So then if we are looking at angle 2 and angle 6, angle 2, angle 6, my transversal would be connecting those two vertices. So that would give me line N. And looking at angle 2 and angle 6, they are between the two lines that the transversal hits, which tells me they are interior, and they're on opposite sides, which tells me they are alternate. So this is alternate interior angles. Last but not least, we would have angle 4 and angle 6. Oops. And so the transversal in this case is going to connect those two vertices, which gives me line M. And because these angles are outside of the two lines that the transversal hits, that tells me they are exterior, and they're on opposite sides, so these are alternate exterior angles. Okay. So then for example 4, we are going to use the figure to identify each of the following. Keep in mind there is more than one correct answer, and if you're not sure, just comment below and I will tell you if it is an example of it. So if we are talking about parallel segments, again, you really want to stick to the ones that have the symbol, so we'd want these two. So that would give me that HE is parallel to GF. Okay, and then a pair of skew segments, remember, are on different planes and they will never touch. So that would be, let's say, DH and BF. Boop. And the safest bet is just to pick one on the opposite side of the shape if it's in a picture form like that. With perpendicular segments, you're looking for that right angle, so it's right there. So that would give us CG is perpendicular to HG. And then parallel planes is going to be like the top and the bottom of the box, or the front and the back of the box. So looking at this, we could say plane DCGH, because you do want to follow it around the shape, is parallel to plane ABFE. And again, you want to kind of go in the same order that you went the first time. Okay. So then last but not least, we want to just identify each of the following. So if we are going to talk first about alternate interior angles, actually, we only need one pair, but I'm going to do a few of them. So just keep your eye on the screen. Alternate interior angles would be like angle 5, angle 10, or angle 7, angle 12, or 9 and 6, 8 and 11. And if you're wondering why, first off, it depends on your transversal. If I treated these as two separate transversals, my interior would be all of this stuff inside. So it'd be any of those angles. So angle 5, angle 10. And I'm just going to put a line to separate them, angle 7, angle 12. And you can write more examples if you want. Okay. I'll give you 2. All right. So then, and keep in mind, you could also do like 6 and 3 because then C would be your transversal. So it all depends on what your transversal is. Okay, so then if we are going to have some corresponding angles, again, you pick your transversal. Just because we did A and B first time does not mean we have to do A and B this time. So we will actually use C and D just for fun. So if we're using C and D, corresponding angles would be angle 5 and angle 7, or angle 6 and angle 8, 4 and 2, or 1 and 3. Okay, and again, I'm just using random symbols. You could also have angle 9 and angle 11, 12, and 10. Hopefully you're getting the idea with these 14, 16, and then 13 and 15. So then, for the next one, we would have alternate exterior angles. So you have to pick your transversals again. If I did A and B just to keep it go back and forth. With A, exterior, we would have angle 1 because it's outside of the line, and angle 14 because it's outside of the line. Remember to keep it to keep your transversal straight. Otherwise, it'll make your life more complicated because if you said angle 16, you are not using the same transversal, so they don't actually have a relationship. So then if B was the transversal, I could use, say, angle 4 and angle 15. Okay. And so then last but not least, and since it is the last one, we will use our rainbow pen today. Rainbow. So we want to have same side interior angles. So if I were to use C and D as my transversals, same side interior are going to be on the same side of the transversal. So that would be like angle 6 and angle 7. Or if I use D, then I could say angle 10 or angle 11. And there are a couple more options. So if you're, again, curious, just comment below. I'll tell you if you have the right idea or not. So that is the end of this section. So your homework is on page 148, and you can see the numbers there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If the video was helpful, give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can keep getting notifications anytime we make new videos for all of this math awesomeness. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.